Or that Cindy and I have been friends since the invention of water. And we were friends in New York, and I was so shy. I've always said I have below sea level self esteem. And we would go to parties all the time because that's all you did in your 20s. And what I would do was I was the straight man, and I would set Cindy up to tell a story because she's always funny. And I wanted to hear what she had to say, but I didn't want anybody to notice me. Isn't that funny? Going to parties, uh, going to any kind of gathering like that, my self esteem always rises to the surface. It's only now that I'm older that it's better. But Cindy, you always say that you always just assume everybody liked you.
I also did think I was one of the great living room performers of our time.
You were, you are.
Kathy would go, "Hey, Cindy, tell everybody that story about X," and I would be off to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
I would feed her. I was the straight man.
Yeah, which is, yeah.
And now the holiday season is coming, and now we're older, and it's not the same, but we're still those young women that we were, and we still know what that was like. And issues come up during the holidays. Sometimes you're going to be alone, and sometimes you have to be with your family. Like, how do you deal with
or
that?
parties. I mean, I was just thinking about how I used to love going to parties. It was a reason to get dressed up and go out and see people and everything. And now I love the idea of going to parties. And it's an excuse to get dressed up and go out and see people. But it takes more of a toll on me now than it did before. I need quiet time before and after all of the cacophony of, a party.
Well, I was an only child and still am.
Yeah.
And, I needed a lot of downtime. And now, I blame that damn pandemic because the truth is that I would rather stay home. Even if I'm going out to meet someone who I love, who I know loves me, there's always that moment before I walk out the door where I'm like, oh God, do I really need to do this? And the answer is yes, because, I have this friend and she always says, once you fall out of each other's orbit, it's almost impossible to pull it back in. And because I know now that for me, success is bringing and receiving love.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that when you're at home alone. And that's one of those things I always liked about you. We have a queenism, one of our little jolts of inspiration that says, leave a little bit of sparkle everywhere you go. And I think, and you're one of those people who, when you go out, people gravitate to you because you have that little bit of sparkle.
I do this weird thing. In every party or every social gathering situation that I'm at, I look around. If I'm having, even if I'm not having any anxiety about it, I look around for the person who isn't talking to anybody. I look around for the person who's sitting alone, and I go over and I sit next to them and I start up a conversation. And I almost inevitably have a lovely little moment with them. And then I excuse myself and I go on to the next person. And so in my own way, I guess I'm leaving a little sparkle that way.
I like what you said, and I think that should be a goal for us, and we should tell everybody that we know that this holiday season is going to be about having a lovely little moment.
Yeah.
How to have a lovely little moment. And I like to have lovely little moments with total strangers. I told you that story about going to Joanne Fabrics and having the line be 45 minutes long. You're in line with total strangers hugging pieces of styrofoam and yards of fabric, and we're all just standing there. And I said to the woman behind me, what are you going to make? And she said, oh, I'm making something for my daughter. And then another woman ahead said, oh, well, are you going to use a hot melt glue gun? And then the woman next to me said, oh, don't you love a hot? And all of a sudden that 45-minute wait became this lovely 45 moments. It
I
was the thing, and everybody went home a little bit better with a little more knowledge and a little feeling of being more a part of than not.
I love that. This week, my sister, who is a rabid fabric fanatic, asked me to come on what's called a shop hop with her. And it's something that the quilting shops in Pennsylvania put together along with like Moda or one of the fabric producers.
Mhm.
And you got a little passport and you had to go to all these little shops and have your passport stamped and buy a square to a quilt that there was a different square in every store.
Mhm.
And I went along with my sister, and while we were there, I watched her walk through the fabric store and touch all the fabric and turn to me and go, "Isn't this beautiful? And I love that style so much," or "This is one of my favorite fabric producers." I could care less about fabric. It doesn't speak to me,
Mhm.
but being with her and like witnessing her passion,
Yeah,
that was my little
yeah.
sparkle to my sister. She was giddy about finishing her passport and stamping all 9 stores. Um,
I'm so jealous that there are actually 9 stores in your area to go to because,
yeah,
I live in one of the largest cities in the world, and, like, I can only name, like, 2 or 3, and the irony for me is I was became addicted to fabric long before I knew what to do with it, and
yeah,
I taught myself how to sew during the pandemic just because I had all this fabric I
yeah.
needed to do something with, and you know what's when I first moved um, to Los Angeles, I really only knew 2 2 different couples,
Yeah.
and one of them for Christmas that first year I was there went to Tahiti, and then the other one said, "Well, yeah, come spend Christmas with us." And then at the last minute, they got invited to a Hollywood producers party and called me and said, "You have to find someplace else to go." And I was going to be completely alone. And my friends that were going to Tahiti, they told this guy, this casting director, and he and his husband invited me over for Christmas and they gave me presents. And it
Oh,
was so, I never forgot them. I never forgot that. It was so, it was really, it's always been uncomfortable for me to receive things,
yeah,
but I never forgot that. And through the years, I've always tried to include people
yeah,
in my holidays. And also I try to be of service during
yeah.
the holidays. I mean, there's so many things I imagine in your community that you could do because I think I'm so grateful for my life and for our friendship and for everything in my life. How do I keep that gratitude? I
Mhm.
think I have to give away things
Yeah,
to keep.
I mean, one of the best ways for me to enjoy the holidays is to volunteer for something.
uh,
And I feel about volunteering the same way you feel about leaving the house sometimes to give a party.
yeah,
Like it's a great idea when I do it, and then I have a little bit of, "Oh, why did I say I would do this?" But once I get there, I always have a great time. I mean, there are things like pack a shoebox for a service member.
I like that.
There are all these coat drives in my town where new coats are donated for children in need, and they always need somebody to sort them through and make sure the sizes are all this so that when the kids come, they can be easily fitted. There are there are Christmas craft fairs at churches and community centers, and they're always looking for somebody to man the tables. And
Mhm.
every time I do that kind of thing, I feel like by my showing up, someone else gets to smile, and it makes me smile. So sometimes just showing up is the thing you need to do.
Yeah, I think so because the holidays that are the kind of thing where you go, grief, grief comes
Yeah.
up,
Oh yeah.
people gone, people passed, and for me, my mom and my dad have been gone for so long, but I love to think about them with loving thoughts and remember things that we did that were fun
Yep.
and then let them go and try to have more fun things or find somebody else to share a
Yeah.
fun moment with. Think it all goes back to have a lovely moment, whether
Yeah.
it's having a lovely moment with yourself and your past or having a lovely moment with a stranger or a friend.
Yeah. I
Lovely moment.
it, there are, I told you this earlier. The CDC says that the United States has a loneliness epidemic.
Yeah.
And that's just like that's so powerful to me, a loneliness epidemic. And so
Mhm,
what can I do to alleviate loneliness both for myself and for other people? I
mhm,
can I can make a phone call to an old friend and gift them my time.
mhm,
I can invite somebody to come out and see the holiday lights with me. It's totally free. We just drive around and look at them.
mhm.
But and that's another, sort of example of gifting your time. I think that's one of the most valuable things we can do
I
to
agree.
mitigate loneliness.
Yeah, I think your time is so valuable, and during a season where it's, traditionally it's always been who gives the best gift.
Yeah,
I think the gift of your time, you know, uh, we have that friend. She writes a poem for everything,
yeah,
every card she sends, and that's the other thing. It was my birthday not so long ago, and I got a lot of actual cards, and I thought this was so nice. I wasn't expecting them.
yeah,
It, wa- to hold a card, a physical example of someone thinking of me,
yeah,
and I think I'm going to send out, even if it's just postcards, even
yeah,
if it's just the postcards that you and I made, you know, the
yeah.
inspirational cards you made. I might just send out some postcards because it says, I'm thinking of you. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to give somebody a Ferrari or,
It's another example of a gift of your time. When you write a little something and put a stamp on it and mail it out, it's different than an email or a text. It's your time. It was
mhm.
a little moment in time when you were thinking of them. And it feels very, very personal now.
And here's the other thing, and I am so blessed this way. You would love spending time with my family. I won't be seeing them over the holidays, but we text all the time,
Yeah.
and we're very respectful and loving of each other, and there's no drama. I come from a no drama queen family, but for many people, you're going to be in situations with your family or
Yep.
friends that you can't get out of. You got to
Yep.
go, but and so this is that time of year where you and I always talk about acceptance.
Yeah.
You're better at it than I am, I think.
I mean, when you have quirky relatives or friends. I've told Kathy this. I like to say, "Oh, there's my quirky friend so and so. Oh, how I love her so."
Yeah.
And let the quirkiness pass over me and let me let go of judgment of it. Now, it's a little more difficult when you have difficult family or friends,
Yeah.
and they're going to be part of your circle, whether you like it or not. And so I kind of like to build in moments for myself where I don't engage, where I go into the kitchen to help the cook, or I volunteer to do the dishes, or I do something that takes me away from the sitting and talking about politics or jobs or whatever it is, or how so and so is raising their kids, any of the things that are potential blow up points with family or friends. And I just try to find ways in which I can step out and let myself
Yeah.
take a breath and relax.
Because you can't change anybody, and
No.
the holidays are going to be what they are, and
Yep.
so the only thing you have control over is how you handle them, how you accept them, and I
Yeah,
think.
and it's definitely not your job to change their mind or opinion over turkey. It's
Yeah.
just not.
No, no, it's not possible. So it's for me, it's still about practicing bringing and receiving love,
Yeah.
and That's my idea of a successful holiday. If I can do that and being good to myself and, taking my cue from you and going, "Oh, that, my lovely quirky friend. I love them." So we found these great um, things to help you through the holidays that involve breathing and this. It's a short list of how to de-stress the holidays. So we'll be posting that off and on.
Yeah.
And you know, if you feel the same way we do, or somebody who does, feel free to subscribe.
And let us know, like, how are you getting through the difficult parts of the holidays? And what are you looking forward to?
Yeah. What am I looking forward to? I like to make Thanksgiving dinner. That's my absolute favorite meal to cook.
I like to make turkey soup after Thanksgiving dinner.
That's
That's
so
my favorite thing.
yeah. It's only funny 'cause I love turkey soup, but my husband hates it. Hates the taste of turkey soup. So there you go. Well, but I'll let him go with love. That quirky husband of mine who doesn't like turkey soup. All right, we'll be back. Take care.